Well, I'm a little hot because I was out there dancing to the Motown Revue at UMSL. Boy, they know how to throw a party. It reminds me back when I started in the fall of '65. The old clubhouse, we had our classes in the clubhouse. As a chemistry major, our laboratory was in the men's shower room. We had running water. Very important for a chemistry lab. But it was interesting. The chemistry storeroom was up on the 3rd floor, and they actually still had the ballroom. We had 1 or 2 dances in there before they converted it to a library. It was very, very interesting. Talking about the Motown Revue, we were getting down out there with the rest of the crowd. But as a kid going through school, I never liked to dance. I came out here to UMSL, and the very first dance I went to was next to the swimming pool, and the clubhouse was on the other side, and there was a patio. It was in the evening. It was very pleasant. The band was rocking, and the dance floor was filled with all these beautiful ladies, and here I am, and I don't know how to dance. Well, that was the last time I went to a dance where I didn't dance. I came to UMSL by a fluke. I was interested in chemistry in high school, but I came from a working family. High school diplomas weren't common in my family. But I did graduate, and I got a job washing dishes in the Hofbrauhaus Hotel downtown. And I did that for a few months. While I was there, the bartender was my friend's dad, and his son was going to come out to UMSL, and he didn't want to drive out here alone. So I agreed to accompany him so that he wouldn't feel lost all by himself. Needless to say, we took the test. I had a choice of sitting there or taking the test, so I took the test, and I was admitted to UMSL. And that sounded great, but I didn't have any money. I didn't know how this would work. And living at home with my mother, somehow she came up with that fee. It was probably $110, $130 a semester or something. And she came up with that, and I got into the first semester. I knew I had to get some money, though. Actually, right before I came here, there was a few months. UMSL didn't start till I think November that year. They were working on some of the buildings. A lot of our classrooms were on the laundromat, or we actually went into one of the subdivisions. There was another building down in there. And I remember the study halls in the church basement across the street. I thought it was so neat. You could go down there. They had a refrigerator. You could buy a bottle of soda for a dime. You just put it in the can, and it was quiet. You know, they had the lunch area in the clubhouse. People are playing cards. It's noisy. You really couldn't study there. So I found some respite in that basement across the street. Really exciting, and a chance to do a little bit of the homework that I did. I was not, on top of my game doing homework, but I never missed a class. And it's the first time I learned how to take notes. Sometimes you'd have large lecture halls or small classes, but I found if you take your notes and not write everything down, but write what sounds important. If the professor said it twice, you underlined it. And if he said it 3 times, you put a big star in the column. So depending on how much time you had, you could study the underlines or the stars, and then you could always go back and just do the stars. But I still needed money now. So I went up to the chemical storeroom. Jack Coombs was the manager, and Dr. Armbruster was in there. That's the first time I met Dr. Armbruster. And I said, I needed a job. I need some money. And they said, well, we don't have anything right now. Benton Hall is going to be open in a few months. Come back. So I probably went back 2 or 3 times bugging them until I could get a job. And sure enough, they took me on in, I believe, the 2nd semester. So I was able to make a little spending money, take a little money home for my mom. My mom had a junk store, and I was a junk man through college. I would haul stuff to the dump, bring stuff back from the dump to sell, and went to auctions 2 or 3 nights a week. But during the day, I was working in the storeroom and then attending classes. And we just had a great time, but it was always like I wasn't going to a 4-year college, I was going to a semester of college. And then if I got through that semester, I was going to take another semester. And it proceeded until it culminated in a very close friendship with the students, with the faculty, and I kept that job in the storeroom all throughout my career. The first couple summers I worked at Ralston Purina in their laboratories, and actually the job that I got, it was in my senior year, and in November, December I wanted to look for a job, and everybody was very friendly, says you're on top of the list, but we don't have any jobs. And I thought, what's going on here? I had a job before I came to college, and this was at a time where jobs were kind of scarce. And then on that bulletin board of the chemistry department, there was a little note said that the police department is looking for a chemist. So I called them up, went down for the interview, and the interview went pretty good. They wanted to hire me right away, a semester before I graduated. I thought, yeah, that's too close. I was going a semester at a time, but when you're down to that very last semester, I didn't want to do that. And I had also gotten a job doing some research with Professor Murray in the chemistry department, where I learned a lot about the equipment, the gas chromatographs, and various other things, and how to analyze these samples. And I got to watch the researchers work. So between the chemical storeroom, where I learned the names of a lot of chemicals and this filing, I learned the management of the operation from Jack Coombs, who was my mentor. If it wasn't for Jack Coombs, I don't know if I would have made it through school. He was always looking out for me. He was my angel, as well as the others in the department. Over the years, Barton has been very, very supportive of all of the chemistry students, and I appreciate that. But I did not take the job in January. I passed over it. They hired someone else, and I was going to graduate, I think, in May. And about a month before I was ready to graduate, there's another sign on the bulletin board: chemist wanted at the police department. I thought, should I try it again? So I went down and applied, and I remember the day that I applied, it seemed to go okay, and it was right, their windows were right across from the parking lot. I go out of the building into the parking lot, and I looked down and I locked my keys in the car. I thought, here's this college graduate wanting a job, and I locked my keys in the car. Like, do we really want this guy? And I looked at the police department. I thought, I know they know how to get into cars. And it felt like part of the interview. So I went and got a little brick, and I broke out my little vent window. And I got in the car, got my keys, and drove off. So I solved the problem. I thought, well, that one's down the tubes. But I actually got the job. And I had several interviews at the time, too, previous. And I even had some higher paying interviews, but it sounded like the most interesting. So I got the job and progressed through the years. I was the chief scientist for the St. Louis Police Department Crime Laboratory. And it was It was quite an interesting job, but you also see some of the life that's not in the newspaper. And when I got there, the person with the most experience of the chemists had been there 3 years. And I thought, what did I get myself into? Little did I know that the background that I received at UMSL had prepared me to dive in and just start working, get through it, and I progressed through the years, and eventually retired after 3 years. But I always come back to UMSL and try and support it in any way I can. It was a first-class operation. I enjoy the videos that were prepared for this, and I encourage everyone who is considering college or going away the advantages of staying in town and working for some first-class companies, and there are many around the St. Louis area. It's an excellent opportunity. Very fond memories of the clubhouse, UMSL, and all the faculty here. Thank you.